Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Episode 55 of the 9 to 5 Fitness Podcast. I'm very excited. Gab, how are you? How'd you sleep?
Mate, I slept awfully. I came back from Falls Creek or Toowoomba Gap this morning. Been up since 5, completely underslept, but I had to leave early because we've got a huge guest on today and I'm really excited for it. Dylan Buckley from Dylan Friends. How'd you sleep and how are you?
Firstly, boys, thanks so much for having me on. This has been a long time in the making. Been a big fan of the show for a long time and everything you've been doing. So I respect the hustle, respect the grind, and yeah, just loving what you guys are up to. Sorry. So, how did I sleep? Was that the first question?
That is correct.
Pretty good. I love sleeping. Like it's such a good thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah. A couple of big sleepers over here.
Yeah, good.
We're passionate.
But yeah, I'm good. I sleep well. I can definitely always get better. I'm trying to. At the moment, I think we'll get into it later, but I went on to a camp recently to Tasmania and it made me realise how bad I am with my phone and how addicted I am to my phone. So a big thing for me is like after a big day of work is like getting home and you just can't get off your phone. So now I'm just trying to at least turn that off for like an hour. And I'll be honest, I still haven't like been able to do that yet. So it's like in the brain thinking about it, but I still can't. And I know that I sleep a lot better when I'm off it. But yeah, good.
We emphasise sleep a fair bit. We're big on sleep and we know it's got to be done. So for new listeners, that is why we ask it. We ask it at the start of every episode. How'd you sleep? We are a fitness podcast at the end of the day. So
it just dictates so much in your life, like how productive you are. And overall, if you sleep less, you're going to be awake for longer. And I feel those hours are just going to be lower in quality. And of course, if you're trying to put on muscle and stuff like that, it's pretty imperative.
Fuck. Is that the secret, is it?
Yeah,
okay,
just sleep like an absolute baby.
Yeah.
More sleep, bigger pipes.
Improve the sleep. Now, I'm very excited, as you know, probably this is the most excited I've been for a podcast. Love all our other guests.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go through my favourite episode of Dylan Friends, obviously. Sure. Now, mine is the Mark Murphy episode. I got so much out of that. That was large. That was huge. Even you had articles written about it. People were, a bit of uproar. How'd you find that one? Was it exciting, scary?
Yeah, it was exciting and scary. It's funny, like when you guys would know this, when you interview people, sometimes it's actually really hard to interview your friends and people that you know because you know a lot of their story and you want to bring out the best parts. And especially with Murph, I think in the public eye, he had like this preconceived idea of who he is and what he was about. And I'm just so happy it came out the way it did because I think it got to show the true side of him. But yeah, in terms of like the media and stuff, it is like, I don't ever do podcasts to like break stories and do that. Honestly, it actually gives me a bit of anxiety. I hate that sort of the side of things. I'd rather the conversation just to be cool and beneficial for everyone. It's not about the story. And I think that was where it was a little bit annoying. That episode, I feel, was one of my favourites as well. But the part that got in the newspaper about Mick Moldhouse, it was probably like the most irrelevant part of the whole show. So it is what it is. People are going to pick that up and you can't control it. But no, it was good. I love Murph, obviously, and love his story.
Hopefully we get a few articles written about our podcast soon. What's your favourite?
I'll drop
Dylan
a bomb
Friends?
today.
Yeah, you should.
Well, I'm not as much of a footy fan as you, Louis, but when we had our guest on, Zach Fisher, I thought I'd do my research and listen to some of the previous podcasts we've been on, so we're not just repeating questions and things like that. So I listened to the Zach Fisher one. That was really enjoyable. I think there was good chemistry and obviously you guys knew each other from beforehand, but yeah, just like understanding what goes on in the Carlton locker rooms and everything like that. And
which we'll get to, the Carlton locker rooms. I've heard they're pretty wild. Now we've got a few quick fire questions for you, Dill. We're going to whip through these. I'll have the first one. Favourite AFL player of all time?
Okay, so like
all time.
I'd say Michael Voss.
Bossy.
Okay. Yep. Who's your hero?
My mum.
Yep. Person with the worst chat for or against that you've played?
Worst chat for or against? When you say for or against?
As in you've played with them or against them? Like who's had the worst chat?
The worst chat. Okay, I'm just really breaking this question down. When you say worst chat, do you mean it like literally the worst chatter or like...
Yeah, like shocking. Like, mate, what is that?
Tommy Sheridan, easily. I don't even understand what he says.
Favourite meals is something you could just have all the time.
You boys would know this actually. My wife makes the TikTok pasta. You know that one with like, it's like macaroni pasta with like onion, feta and cherry tomatoes.
I've seen that.
It is so fucking good.
I hope I haven't duetted it, just like slagging.
Oh, you were probably slagging it.
Yeah.
No, like
calories.
She's going to hate this because my wife's actually an incredible cook. Like she's unbelievable. But I was like, oh, can you please try and make this because it looks so good. And this is not very quick fire questions, by the way. I'm sorry. I don't do quick fire questions. Okay, I do in-depth questions.
Elaborate as much.
Yeah, elaborate questions. And I got her to make that one, and so I'll send you the recipe.
Looking forward to it. What is your favourite animal?
Wow. I love elephants. Yeah, elephants are cool.
Deep thinker.
Yeah, deep thinker. And I didn't know this the other day. Apparently, they have the longest memory of any animal.
Yeah, well, that's what they say. I've got a memory like an elephant.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you got that big memory.
Best travel destination
Overseas
that you've been to, yeah.
Okay. Well, in that, I went to South Africa when I was like 17.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I'd actually been overseas, and just the memories of that were unbelievable.
It's a good one. Biggest fear?
Claustrophobia.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Favorite movie?
This is not quick. This is not rapid fire questions. Okay, this is going to be a whole podcast on this.
We'll make it.
Favorite movie? Oh, so many, man, so many. Like if you want to go real, just generic ones like Remember the Titans.
Okay.
But one that I've loved of late, like I'll give you a new one that I've liked: Tenet and June. Have you seen those two? They're
Tenet,
like
is that
ones.
the Christopher Nolan?
Yeah. Where he's like goes in time, and I'm still trying to work out.
You have to watch YouTube videos explaining it afterwards. Yeah.
And another one, No Country for Old Men.
Cracker. Yeah. A cracker. Pretty rogue, those first couple, but we'll let it slide.
Yeah. Have you not seen Remember the Titans?
Nah, I haven't.
I was like, oh yeah.
You've never seen that? Mate, you boys would love it. It's like one of the most classic, like NFL, not NFL. What's that called? Gridiron movies in America.
Yeah,
and
NFL.
Yeah. It's like set back in time. It's about the races mixing, and they come together and create this team, and it's just beautiful.
I thought we were going to get
like Coach Carter type thing.
Like
for NFL,
50 million times better than Coach Carter,
really?
And it's don't ever compare them ever.
Yeah, you dog, mate.
Yeah.
Favorite podcast? Last one.
Favorite podcast? 9 to 5.
Yeah. Good.
No, but besides them would be
I forgot we had a
the
podcast.
Lighthouse podcast. It's like this story about this backpacker from Byron Bay that went missing.
Oh, it's so story kind of podcast.
Yeah, I'm really big into like true crime. Like that's how I got into podcasting.
Have you ever listened to The Last Voyage of the Pongsu?
Yes.
Oh, cracker.
Unbelievable.
Should listen to it.
Yeah. So one of our major topics for today is we really looked up to you as one of like Australia's most successful content creators, especially in the podcast scene. And I think Louis listened to your podcast so much, and that kind of invigorated his spirit for wanting to start the podcast. For me, he was always like, let's start a podcast. And I was like, mate, how's that going to make money? I'm kind of like the numbers behind the business. I'm like, mate, that's this initial outlay. Like no one's going to listen to it. It's a pipe dream. And he was really inspired by you. And I've come to like learn what you do. And I think it's just amazing. So we wanted to elaborate on this topic of how to kind of make it as a content creator in Australia. Obviously you're predominantly podcasts.
Yep.
We're kind of made our name off of TikTok and then Instagram. So I think it's a good topic to try, kind of delve into.
Yeah. So did you find it hard at the start, starting out?
Well, firstly, thank you for those words. It really does mean a lot. I'm quite an emotional person. You made me cry. But thank you. It means a great deal to me. So, yeah, being a content creator. Well, I've never even thought of myself as a content creator personally, but I am really when you look at what that means. But yeah, starting podcasting, starting the way it was, I suppose and why I respect you guys so much and what you've been able to do is I had a little bit of a platform, I suppose, by playing football and it did help, my way of already having a little bit of an into the industry, and I could probably use, players and stuff that were a little bit more, senior than me or well known than me to help grow, whatever I was doing. But in terms of content creation, when I first started podcasts, I alluded to earlier, my favorite thing to do was to listen to crime podcasts. And I just love listening to, Serial and all these podcasts that were born in the US. And this is before anyone even knew what podcast was in Australia. And I remember being at the end of my career at footy, I signed 4 one-year deals, and I was like, well, I can't get a job in radio. No one wanted to hire me because I just didn't have a big enough profile. And I was like, well, fuck, if I can't do this, what's the next thing? I can start a podcast and then show radio stations that I've done a bit of work, and maybe then they'll be like, oh, okay, this guy's serious about what he wants to do. So that's how I actually got into it, not realizing at that stage, I was building my own platform and building, your own brand, your own business. And for me, it wasn't something like I went out and said I want to be a content creator. I think it just happened organically by creating content. Like it was the creator of the content before the content creator. And then that's sort of how it worked. I was really lucky to attract some really incredible people around me to help me. One being a mutual friend of ours, Sammy producer the Bonds, the S-Bone, and we sort of teamed up and started doing Dylan Friends. Then we created List Cloggers and a few other shows. And I think that with this new age media that we're both in now, people love relatability, and I think that's like a big key pillar of success in terms of content creation, because it's all well and good. I don't know about you guys, but when I watch TV, I'd never see myself on TV. I was like, fuck, that's like Nick Rewalt and Jimmy Bartell. Like, I fucking suck at footy now. I'm delisted and I'm never going to win 3 premierships or win a Brownlow. But then you look at platform. I wanted to create a platform where more people could be like, I can be like that guy. He's just normal, and that's what he does. So hopefully that happened with you guys. And from what you said before, I'm really honoured to think that might have. And that's how it really started in long form.
Was there ever a point along the journey where you were like, oh, this is getting pretty serious? Like, was there a particular episode where you're like, let's turn this up, let's go balls to the wall, or was it just a really gradual process? It
was so gradual, and I think that's something that, if anyone's listening today and wants to be a content creator and do something that they love something that I love, I did this for nearly 3 years without making any money. And that was 3 years of just like passion project. Like I just would do it and love it. And I think when it first started getting serious, and we were chatting to the, off camera before about, we're in a studio at the moment that we lease out and we have. And I think when it started getting serious was when I started taking those risks and being like, all right, let's go hire somewhere to do this. And I used to hire this place in Albert Park, and it was this room, and it was like $100 a week to rent this room. And I was like, how the fuck am I going to afford this? Like $400 a month, like I was like, how, is it too much of a risk? Am I going to get bankrupt? Like all these sort of things. And I think if there's one message today that I have for, you guys or anyone, it's like, you nearly have to like take the risk and then grow into it, rather than like hoping to grow and then take the risk. And it's like what we did here. We were really lucky to find this incredible studio. And when we first walked in, it was like me and Sam were like, there's 200 square meters. There's 2 people in here. It's a fairly big area to work in. But now we fill it out really well, and we're absolutely loving it.
I think for us,
did you say an episode though? Was that what the question was?
But you said it was gradual. So,
it was super gradual.
So
super gradual.
But that's
But
fantastic.
there was one episode that changed the show.
Yeah.
And I always look back on that one as being Zach Dawson. I had Zach Dawson.
Oh, great episode.
And I think that one was one where I was like, I had him on and he spoke so like authentically about like his story and being like, he was really struggling and, how he coped and stuff with the backlash that he got. And that was the time when I was like, fuck, like we could be onto something here. Like this could be cool.
Yeah, that was a fantastic episode. I can't believe it was that late that you thought you were onto something cool. Because I definitely feel like you, especially for people my age, a lot of younger men, are like a real pioneer in the chat of mental health and kind of growing on that front. But you were talking about mental health a lot earlier, and probably kind of at a point where it wasn't as cool to talk about mental health. Yeah. Was that something you've always been passionate about?
Well, I really thank you for saying that. And then, I feel like it's something that I've always focused on. But it's funny because I remember this podcast I did once for mental health in Movember, and it was probably like 4 years ago or 3 years ago. And I remember, like, if you could go back and listen to it now, I was literally like, I couldn't even speak because it was so awkward to talk about, like, at that time for me. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? People are going to be like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But that was another stage where the reception was like, oh my God, they'd probably never heard someone my age talk about mental health, and started changing things. And since then, again, like, that has always hopefully been a message through, Dylan Friends and everything we do. We always want to keep that, relevant.
Yeah, for sure.
That kind of reminds me of the podcast, some of the best performing podcasts we did. So we're classified as a health and fitness podcast, but we did ones on like breakups. So there was once when I was going through bad breakup. I was literally crying on the camera. We had to like cut out 5 minutes.
It's great watching.
Yeah, he's the producer. They're going, this is great content. This is gold, man. Keep going. But it was bloody serious. Like, it was so fresh for me. Yeah. But that was the best performing one because you go out there and there's no content, especially for blokes, like with good advice when you're going through these tough times. So I think a lot of, as you say, like that relatability factor, I think a lot of people were probably in like a similar position to that.
Yeah, definitely.
Those words get thrown around so much though, like relatability and authentic. And I feel like even saying it today, I'm like, I don't want people to think we're just like recycling what we hear because everyone says that, but only people know in themselves when they are being vulnerable and authentic. And yeah, I love talking about things that I suck at because so many people suck at shit. You know what I mean? Like going back to that thing before about listening to people, I would listen to like stuff or listen to someone telling me, you know, how good meditation is and how they do it every day. And I'm like, well, I can't fucking meditate every day. Like, that's impossible. But to get someone on like Emma Murray and be like, hey, meditation's awesome. I love it. But you know what? Even I miss it 3 times a week. You're like, oh, like, yes. Like, that makes me feel good because like you're not making me feel like it's unattainable. You know what I'm saying?
Have you heard of a guy called Naval Ravikant?
No, I can't.
He's got a very interesting. He's very philosophical, but I think he's of Indian descent. But he said that this old Indian fellow told him that if you meditate for 60 minutes a day for 60 days, you reach this state of like mental inbox zero, and it's just complete clarity. And I just think it's really interesting because I've tried to do a lesser thing, 30 minutes for 30 days, and I can notice a huge benefit. But as you say, like to actually to schedule that silence, it takes so much discipline.
And don't get me wrong, like I'm all about that. Like I would love to be able to do that. And I think that it's not an unattainable goal to do if you really want to, but to go from never meditating to 60 minutes a day for 60 days is impossible. I think you've got to like, there's a long journey in between that of doing it, stuffing it up, giving it up, picking it up again. And I'm on that. That's where I'm at the moment. Like I'm at that point where I'm like, oh, I'm going to meditate. Then I'm like, fuck, I forgot about that for a week. And then, you know, you pick it up and so I'm there, but I'm not at the 60 yet. Yeah. Well done at being at the 30.
Yeah, well, I haven't, mate. I've missed a few days. It's like you get too busy, but it's actually like one of the most important things to do. Rather than scrolling Instagram for half an hour, put it down and go meditate. But
Now, back to the kind of podcasting content creation thing. We went on a little rabbit hole there. I was wondering, was there ever a point where you almost stopped? You know, like where it's kind of, you're not making any money from it. You're doing it for 3 years. Like you're going, geez, I just don't know if I can. Kind of hate gets to you or whatever.
Yeah. I think there's been a lot of times where it's got challenging. Like there's never ever been a time for me where I've wanted to stop, but there's definitely been times where it's been challenging. And I think that just comes back to like the biggest thing was having a good team around you. Like, you know, look at your team today, like incredible. You got your own, you know, way too qualified videographer here in the studio doing this, and it's not possible without him. So similar to me, like you see the show, so many things happen behind that. But when you're doing things by yourself, I think it's really hard. But yeah, in terms of like giving up, there's been times where I wouldn't say giving up, but I've taken the easy option, and that meaning like, you know, oh, maybe, you know, I just sell the podcast and do it with someone else. And I'm like, is that like what I want to do, or is that like the easy option? And that's probably been like the bit where I'm so thankful now that I did it early, and at the stage no one really believed in it. It gave me time to like work out what it could be, that, you know, we're here now. So yeah, if that is, I didn't want to give it up, but it's always been a battle between keeping going and just consistent.
Makes sense. I suppose like, we've kind of been in that situation as well. Not where we're going to give up or anything, but early days it's like, fuck, this podcast is a lot of effort.
Yeah, it is.
And it's like we're getting, you know, 100 people listening to it. But then you grow, you get a few good episodes, and it's like, this is so worth it. And like the biggest response we ever get on a night out and stuff is like, love the podcast. Yeah. And it's like, that's fantastic.
How good is that? That's awesome.
It's like half the time, because you're the one producing it, putting the hours on Premiere Pro and making sure everything's right, and I just speak on it. And I often forget, like, we do have a podcast and people are going up, oh, the thing you said on that podcast, and like, I don't really remember it. But
that gives me so much anxiety when you like, you forget people listen to the show sometimes. And, you know, I was telling Sam the other day, like one of the biggest fans of List Cloggers is my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? like it's just so weird that like a 60-year-old woman is like listening to her son-in-law talk absolute dribble on like a podcast. It just makes no sense.
We forget that we put like at least 40 minutes a week of our lives onto
yeah.
So we're doing podcasts with breakups. Oh, this happened. Gab didn't sleep well. Gab had 6 hours of sleep. Then we have people, oh mate, the breakup. Oh, I heard you only had 6 hours of sleep. It's like, fuck, how do you know that?
It keeps you accountable though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you can't say things and not follow them up, which is what I actually like about it. If I say I want to get better at something, you've got 100,000 people going like, you said you can do this. So
have we done that where we've like not followed through on something?
Nah,
we just don't promise.
We went
anything.
we went pretty deep with the Movember thing, but we didn't. We managed
more than we could choose.
yeah, that happens.
Yeah. We just still did it, but might have ran our bodies into the ground.
Yeah.
So in order to keep a roof over our heads, we have a few sponsors on today's podcast. And when we accept sponsors, they're always products we really believe in. We've had a few brands reach out, send their products down, and we've had to kind of turn them down and say, like, yeah, this isn't good enough quality for us to promote kind of thing. So the first one is Manscaped. This podcast is presented to you by Manscaped. Now, this is kind of the pinnacle of male grooming. I think they've got such a fantastic array of products. I think every bloke needs 1 or 2 items from their website. What do you reckon?
Yeah, absolutely. Male grooming is important and you need to take it seriously, guys. And Manscaped are going to hook you up. And if you want to support us, you can.
What are your favourite products?
Well, definitely the Lawnmower 2.0, but I just got the Weed Whacker.
2.0?
4.0.
Yeah.
But I just got the Weed Whacker, and that's a cracker. What about for you?
Well, they've actually just sent us down this Manscaped Refined Cologne, and I thought this would be a bit of a meme because I thought, it's just like a, Manscaped, surely they're not like Chanel or Christian Dior or anything like that. I whacked it on last night. Mate, I reckon it had some sort of magnetizing effect in it. It was just like an absolutely unreal scent, and I love it. So if you guys want to pick up some of their products, you can go to their website, use code NTF, you'll get 20% off and also free shipping, and you'll help support your favorite podcasters in the world.
Cheers.
Next one, guys, we have Tomorrow Skincare. Now, I like to keep clear skin because I think it's important, when you're putting yourself out there, when you're dating, when you're making videos, you want your skin to be clear because you just exude confidence.
You feel better about yourself. I always used to be very self-conscious with my skin. And then I learned if you start actually washing your face, you're going to lose pimples.
Yeah, literally. I remember when I was going to the gym and absolutely sweating up a storm, my acne was so bad and made me so self-conscious. I'd be trying to manage it as much as possible. Now I've got an unreal skincare routine. So it's called Tomorrow Skincare. The link will be in the bio. But it's basically like a 4-step skincare routine. You use the foam gel cleanser. So that's number 1. So I usually do that in the shower. Then after that, when you're dry, I use the liquid toner, a few drops, rub it in, let that absorb. The next one is a structure serum. Again, just a little bit. You don't want to do too much and just rub it over. And then you finish off with the 4th one, which is the gel moisturizer. These are all highly scientifically backed and you feel $1 million after it.
It's pretty simple too. Step 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, every bloke needs to get this if you don't have a skincare routine, and you can use code NTF and I think you get 10% off or some sort of discount like that. The final sponsor of today is Jabra. These guys have literally the best headphones in the game. We always used to use the AirPods, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Kind of trendy, definitely comfortable, until Jabra reached out to us. They said, if you don't like them, don't post about them. Mate, these are unparalleled.
We more than like them. We are such advocates for them. They've changed the game.
Because we're kind of snobs when it comes to gym earphones. I remember you had the Bose ones and you needed a degree in IT to connect them to Bluetooth.
Yeah, $350 too.
These Jabra ones almost connect too quickly to Bluetooth. It's like, hang on a sec, how did you connect to that?
Multiple devices as well.
Yeah, mates. And it's crazy. And the other thing is the sound experience is unparalleled. Compared to AirPods, they make them look like some Walmart $20 earpiece broke pods that you get. They're insane. And my favorite feature about the Jabra true wireless ones, so I've got the Elite ones, which are really good for the gym, Elite Active I believe. I can wear them in the shower.
Yeah.
So my favorite thing to do is have a shower after the gym, and I'm still blasting rap music while I'm in the shower, and it is seriously a euphoric experience.
It's fantastic. Well, your bathroom is right near the head of my wall, so I can't hear a thing, and you're listening to music.
And it's better because I'm not blasting the speaker, so...
Love it.
And guys, if you do want to pick yourself up a pair, head to their website, add some stuff into your basket, use code NTF, and I believe you will get 10% off and you'll help support us.
Cheers. Now, more podcasting kind of thing.
Yeah.
Guests, people being on. Have you ever had, we don't want any names, ever had, well, firstly, who's been your scariest guest, or have you had a guest where you're like just shitting bricks like beforehand?
Definitely. It's funny, like when I played footy, I was the most anxious player. Like I would go into games being like, fuck, I hope I just break my leg before I go out there so I don't have to do it. And then with the podcast, for some reason, I just love talking to people. But the only one that I've really felt like I nearly fainted before it was when I had Alistair Clarkson on.
Oh, really?
And I was just like, I don't know what it was. I think it was just like brought back that fear of like coaches and having him in. And I was like, fuck, this is a big deal. This is Alistair Clarkson. Like, this is, cool. He ended up just speaking like the whole time on the show. So nothing happened. But yeah, he was unbelievable. But that was the one where I was like really nervous for some reason.
It would have been Juddy for me, mate.
He's another one. I know him, right? Like, as in, I feel like a flog even saying that. Like, I sat next to him in the locker room for sort of 6 years. But even when he came in, I was still a bit like, oh, Juddy. Like, it is like, oh, Juddy. Hey, man. So, he was hard.
Big dog, yeah.
He's a big dog. He's a big boy.
Big dog.
Yeah. He's got that presence about him where you just, you can't help but love him.
The aura.
And they often say that, like, good podcasts come from not good guests, but a good host that can kind of bring out the best in the guest. And we wanted to go over like what makes a good podcaster, like a good host. And we're talking before general tips, like letting the guest kind of speak and not constantly butting in. Do you have kind of like a...
So I really, that's a really good call. Howie, I heard Howie say that once, who's, one of the OGs in podcasting. And he said if an interview's bad, he takes it more personally on him than the guest. But yeah, for me, like what I try and do and what I feel like most of the time creates a good show is a lot of the time, like early days, you feel like as a host, sometimes you don't want to talk about yourself because you got like someone incredible sitting next to you. But one thing I always try and do if like they're not maybe going on as much as they want is I'll put myself in the story and I'll tell a story about myself that might be, open or something, even though if I've told it before. But then it goes to them, oh, cool, I can share too. And like that makes them share even more. So, I'd be like, oh, this happened to me once. Has anything like that happened to you? And then you've shown them like what the show's about, where the conversation, and they'll go, oh, cool, I'll tell something like that. So that's one that I try and do. And then the one that we were talking about before is just like the yes. Like I used to do that.
I've been good so far, mate.
You've been great. I think I even said it before. And someone told me this like really harshly one day. They're just like, man, you keep saying fucking yeah in the show. And I was like, oh, it absolutely burnt me. So from then I just never say, when I say that to anyone listening, what I'm talking about is when your guest is replying to you, stop saying yeah, like with them. Just shut up because it's just really annoying for the people listening.
Well, it's how you respond to it. So you can like nodding your head.
Yeah, nodding your head and just eye contact.
Acknowledging what they're saying.
Have you seen those TikTok videos of like when those two private school boys like start their own podcast?
Oh, that's the funniest fucking thing.
Classic.
That is the best thing I've ever seen. But the thing is,
we get accused of that a lot. Like we were private school boys, like unashamedly. And we somehow started the podcast, but it wasn't because we think we're God's gift to the English language. It's just we happen to start.
Yeah, but those podcasts are like women.
There's a
what
lot
is
of,
wrong with it? It's like boys' voice.
There's a lot of people doing bad things on podcasts, but
some of the comments we like get, or someone that obviously doesn't know who we are or what we do, they'll comment like, not everyone should start a podcast. It's like we've kind of been around for a little bit now.
You guys have got to know though that like TikTok is such a it's such a toxic platform. Like I can comment something on someone I don't know. And you'd be better at this. To be honest, there's a reason that I don't really get TikTok that well. Like, and I should go a bit more into it. But it's also a thing where it's like, fuck, you cop some really hateful things.
Warzone, mate.
Yeah,
we have some real welfare checks.
This is the worst story for me, right? I'm just going a bit of a tangent here.
Please do.
My most viral video, it had like 12 million views.
Wow.
7 seconds of me reviewing some avocado toast fried in olive oil, and I basically just said, look, if you're trying to lose weight, this isn't it. Like, it's 800 calories in a piece of bread. And it hit what we call alt girl TikTok. And I had the whole country after me, like 2,000 videos made on me, just death threats every day. I just turned the phone off and just said, all right, no worries.
What the hell?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means.
Because apparently I was, but it's just like, you can comment anything from a kind of anonymous profile, but That was intense.
I'm getting anxious thinking about that. Yeah.
Now, you said a story to relax the crowd. I got one for you. We had a podcast earlier days, and we had this guy on, and we said before, mate, do you have anything you want to talk about? He said, yeah, we'll talk about this. So we get him on the podcast, lead him right into it. Great story. He says the story, goes pretty deep with it. Gavin and I are sitting there. He's talking about this and that. We're kind of like, yeah, right, okay. You want us to put this up? And that takes up 85% of the podcast. Oh, no. Next day, I have the podcast edited up. Took me 4 hours. We get a message, hey boys, do you mind just deleting that part? So like we just didn't upload it. So have you ever had any trouble with guests, or has anyone ever asked you for money? Again, not asking for names.
No one's ever asked for money, which is, it's surprising because like I think people now realise that there is benefit in them for them too, like telling their story and coming on. But yeah, there's been definitely some bad experiences. Like, we've definitely recorded some shows that have never been released.
Yep.
Yeah, fuck. There's been some shockers. And there's also been ones, where we've just fucking forgot to press record.
Oh yeah.
I still do that. Like I double check before because it's just something that I think any podcaster is never comfortable with. Like, I'm always just like looking over to that button to make sure that the levels are on and that button is going because it makes you feel sick.
And when you had to do like the online Zoom podcast, it just adds another layer of complexity in there.
I reckon probably 4 or 5 or 6 podcasts that have never been to air that, I've done the whole thing, and then you get off and you're on Zoom and they go, oh, I wasn't recording that. And you're like, what the fuck?
It's so flattening.
Yeah, it is very bad. It's shocking because you can't do it again. You just can't unless you come back like 2 days later. Especially
like getting a big guest on and stuff. It's just like you've cooked it, mate.
Yeah,
like we've sat there for a few. I've sat there just apologising. Look, I'm so sorry.
Have you done it as well?
Just issues with mics and stuff, and it's like this is just not working. We figured out it wasn't our fault.
SD cards full.
Yeah, things like that. But anyway, a bit of a different route now after podcasting. Yeah. You got hitched. You're married.
I did. I got married. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
That's unreal.
It was unreal. Yeah. So got married in. A few weeks ago, and but like it's so weird even talking about it, but my wife, we've been together for like nearly 12 years, so we met sort of out of school, and it's cool. I'll tell you what, nothing's changed. Sort of back into reality now, and it's exactly the same as it's always been. So besides wearing a bit of bling, that's about it.
Yeah, I like the bling.
Thank you.
It suits you.
You've always a bling, though. Well, you are.
Oh,
yeah.
Maybe a bit of bling. Yeah, I do like a good ring.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We're 23, and I think marriage is really cool. There are a lot of guys that are.
It's pretty cool.
I honestly,
I've never heard of anyone refer to it like that.
No, I honestly
it's like
do.
a fashion statement.
Not even because of that. I think you and I are both kind of relationship guys. We like something stable. I've been through a few. You've been through kind of a long one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like that stability thing.
It's
if you
good.
find the one.
Yeah, it is. And I've been really lucky to find someone very early. But I think as you get older, you realise how lucky you are to have someone that you that you really love. And I know a lot of guys sometimes, you're younger, you don't want to tell your girlfriend or whatever you love them, but I can say for exact, like I would be fucked without my wife. Like, and I think and you see friends that maybe aren't in relationships that are good, and I would tell people just never settle for anything that isn't incredible.
I mean, you say you're lucky, but like a 12-year relationship, you have to work out that in one way or another. We get a lot of relationship questions, and this might be a bit deep. But do you give us top 3 tips for a long sustaining relationship, or top 2 or 1? Give us anything, mate.
I think it's important to, like, for example, like my partner and I, we are so different. Like, I'm loud, obnoxious, just an idiot. And very sociable. I love going out and doing things. Whereas my partner is extremely intelligent, like super quiet, like just, so many things that I admire in a person. And it's something that we match together really well. But as I said, we're really different, but we share the exact same values. And, we love family. We love quiet time. We love, our dog, and we love going to the beach. So like, I think it's just about, for me, I saw a movie once, and this is like, I hate it. I can't believe I'm referring to this quote, but it's something that I love this quote so much. And the quote was from like either No Strings Attached or the one with Justin Timberlake and Mila Kunis.
No. I know that one. Yeah.
And basically he said the quote was, "It's not who you want to spend Saturday night with, it's who you want to spend all day Sunday." And that's like my favorite quote when it comes to relationships, because I think a lot of young men, especially, they go out on the weekends and do whatever they want to do, but you know, they're alone on Sunday playing Xbox or something.
Yeah, grim.
And that's depressing. So, you know, find a good girl to spend Sunday with.
The Sunday scaries.
Yeah.
Makes me want a relationship now. Thanks, Dill. Everyone's
Yeah,
crying.
it's a lot of triggers in there.
Kids are crying, mate. Thank you.
Sorry.
No, that's perfect.
I find it, because you're only 28 and you've been 12 years together.
Yeah.
So obviously, do the maths, that's 16.
Yeah.
And so I hear a lot of young kind of relationships our age, you know, we're too young for marriage anyway, like we'll break up anyway.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think that's like a really big achievement, and it's like quite different.
It is different. And to be honest, you know, we actually did break up for a year when I was young, and I was like that guy, you know, I thought that there was cooler things out in the world, and boy, did I learn quickly that
there's not, baby.
The grass ain't greener.
I was running back, and I was just like, I'm so sorry. Please take me back. Yeah.
Fucked up.
Please.
Yeah, it's a classic. Well, thank you for sharing and opening up. We do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Maybe there's hope for us.
Maybe there is hope.
Probably
You
not
never
for
know.
you.
Yeah. Less avocado toast reviews,
Yeah.
mate. Yeah. Transitioning from being an AFL player to doing your own thing. It's a big one, and we'll just skim through this. We've kind of gotten into it a little bit, but you went AFL, retired, footy.
Questionable retirement. Yeah. It was.
What did you? I remember you said
it'd be more of a sacking.
You said it on a podcast on one of your podcasts. Retired on Instagram.
Yeah, retired on Instagram. Yeah. No, definitely sacking. So I went from footy into, I worked at 3W, a radio station in Melbourne, and just learned how to sort of content create, and I used to produce radio shows, and used to answer the phone. So like when, you know, like people would call up the radio, and I'd be like on the phone, and I'd like type them in and say like this person needs to do this, and it's a tough time, but learned a lot from that, and you know, really grateful for the opportunity. And from that, I just realised, you know, how much I wanted to do my own thing. And to be honest, still at this time, I still didn't have, you know, the podcast was going, and I was doing that by myself, as well as working, but I still just didn't have, I thought opportunities were going to come, and I thought like, oh, come on, someone's going to hit me up to do something on the radio, and it just didn't come, like nothing was coming. And I was just like, fuck this, like I would do my own thing. Like if it's not going to come, I'm going to make it happen. So that's probably where the little intro into the next part before, about meeting, you know, other good people like Sam, and we come together and we did our thing.
And was that transition, obviously, as a footy player, you're living like your childhood dream, like everything's epic, kicking goals, everything like that, going to like kind of like more media, podcasting, radio. Did you find that a difficult transition at all?
I did a little bit, but I think in my perspective too, like I'd had 4 one-year deals. So like I knew that it was coming to an end at some stage, and I knew that I was going to have a transition period. So I was really ready for it. Like in my mind, when I'd finished footy, even though I got delisted, I wouldn't have signed on again. I was like,
Really?
I'm done. Like I just needed to do something different. And when I got back to Melbourne, I was like, all right, let's get some experience, because I didn't know enough about the industry I wanted to go in to do it. And I wasn't at the stage where it was a full-time thing. So really lucky from a really good friend of mine, Luca Ganano, to get an opportunity at 3AW. Did that, learnt so much, awesome. And then from there, that was probably because for a while it was like, you know, that romance phase of being like a new person out of the world. Then it got to stage like, fuck, I can't do this forever. I need to find something else. Yeah. And that was when I started my own thing.
Did you ever find there was like a loss of identity from leaving footy? I think that's like the biggest thing with young guys and girls leaving footy, is like, hang on, that's like what my whole life has been. I've been Dylan Buckley, the footballer. Although you may not be getting games, like you're still on a list. Did you find that happen?
I did, but I also found it like actually my favourite part, because for me, what's driven me the most in post football is I don't want to be that, like I don't want to be known as that. I never, like, when you're in footy, sometimes all people know about you is what you've done on the footy field. And, you know, I didn't have the best career, and I felt like sometimes you get judged on what you do on the field versus who you actually are. So that was a really hard part for me. It was actually more that when I was in it, I didn't like being judged as a footballer versus a person, because I felt I was a lot better person than I was a footballer. When I left, it was actually more like a relief going, fuck, thank God, like I'm not that person anymore. Now you can judge me on what I do next. And that's what's driven me the most.
That's very much along the lines of what Higo said last week. I want to be known as Jack Higgins the person, and then Jack Higgins the footballer.
Beautiful stuff. Yeah, I think that's a big one. It goes for any path you kind of go down. Now, you're back from a camp in Tassie, mate.
Yeah, you boys would love this.
What happened? So, wait, give us the rundown.
Yeah, give you a rundown. So on the show, a while ago when I was at Carlton, I had a high performance coach called David Butterford, who, for the kids playing at home, he was like the pioneer in he was high altitude training. So like he took us over to Arizona and was part of Collingwood, did the whole camps in the US and stuff. So he was at Carlton with him, had a great relationship. And when we finished, I got him on the podcast. He's got an incredible story. And then after that, extended the invite to come on one of these camps that he's doing now called Resilience Camps. And basically he takes like corporates and young families and kids and anyone who wants to go on these camps and build resilience. And I think like a big part for me that this is probably was a struggle leaving footy was once you do leave, it's very hard to, I think, one thing people don't maybe do enough in the outside world is you don't often push yourself enough, and you're not forced to get out of your comfort zone. And in footy, you are. Every day you're doing something you don't want to do, and that was a big thing for me. I was like, fuck, I really haven't pushed myself out of my comfort zone for a while, and that was why I decided to do the marathon. Like prior to this, I was like, I haven't done anything for fucking ages. I don't work out. I need to do something. I need to do the marathon to do that. Then this camp came along. I was like, yep, I need to go on this camp. And this camp, like, honestly, if you said it's everything I hate. Like, I hate being away from home. I hate bus trips. Like, I get car sick. You're fragile. I already said before, like, I'm claustrophobic as, like, I'm just a massive, like, just a pussy when it comes to that sort of stuff. And I was like, fuck, I need to do something to challenge myself. And that's what it was, basically. Went on a camp and we did, caving in tunnels on the first day there. I went there not knowing anyone, which was just like one of the hardest things I've ever done. We did, meditation sessions, resilience sessions, vulnerability sessions, climbed Cradle Mountain, did canyoning and abseiling. And it was just like some of the best videos. I didn't have my phone for 3.5 days. Like there was no reception there. So no contact to the outside world. It was honestly so good.
And I wish I had like a short definition of what resilience is. Like I don't.
Yeah.
What does resilience mean to you?
I think resilience to me, it's something it's how, okay, I don't have the definition of it either, but what it means to me is basically is a quote that I come back to all the time. And that quote is, it's not what happens, it's how you react to it. And I've somehow just, that has been like fucking tattooed into my brain for the last like 4 years, because I just remember, being like going through all these delistings and all this stuff. And I was like, well, maybe I am the problem. Maybe it's actually me, not everyone else. And started to realize that the common denominator was myself, and maybe how I was reacting to issues were leading me to the next thing. So I think that was the biggest thing was it's not what happens, it's how I react to it. Let's, react in the best fashion that I can. Because unfortunately shit things happen all the time. And you can either win, lose or grow, or whatever that quote is. You can,
if you aren't winning yet.
Yeah.
Learning.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Win or learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Win or learn.
Lose or learn.
That'll do, mate. Whatever.
Yeah.
Just do better.
That one. And that was sort of how I've chose to approach life from since then. And don't get me wrong, I still crack the sads and I still sook, but once I have and I've gotten over that, then it's all right, how do we get better?
I think that's very much like the stoic mentality, or kind of reminds me of like some Bruce Lee quotes or something like that.
I've never been referred to as in the same sense as Bruce Lee before.
He's got this really good quote. It's like if you let other people's words affect you, like you like constantly like you're weak or something along those lines. I don't know. It's just like.
We should get a podcast on butchering quotes. I reckon. It's our next one, and then the audience try and work out what the quote was.
Like a game show.
This is episode 1, to be honest, because we butchered a few.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Now, go on.
No, I just wanted to say, like 3.5 days without your phone. How refreshing is that?
It was. So the first 3 hours, I really struggled. Like I remember just keep pulling it out, checking for bars, and I was really like anxious. And then once I just really realised that this, I wasn't gonna have my phone. Other people did. So like, if someone really needed me, they could contact someone else. And I was like, okay, I'm cool. This is sweet.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Like past few days, I did something similar. I went up to like Falls Creek to do like a bit of cycling there, a bit of climbing.
Yeah.
And like you have no service the whole time. And given like the kind of industry that we're in, we're constantly having to get up stories. And so I told you, like, I'm going on a bit of a break from socials. Still posted one video.
Yeah.
But like so refreshing just to have extended periods of no service. Like no one can reach you. It's just bloody awesome.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah.
It's so good. I think, like when I was your guys' age, I hate saying that, but when I was your age, I thought that I needed to be in contact with everyone all the time. And you think you have like 500 friends and like, you think every friend that you have on Instagram is like your best mate. But the older you get, you just realize like I have fucking like 3 people that actually care about me.
Yeah.
So like I don't need to tell everyone else where I am right now. As long as my mum and wife know, like I'm right.
Yeah, you're sweet.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's why we got each other on Find My Friends.
Yeah.
Just checking on the lads.
Yeah.
Now, I'm conscious of time, but
No,
I
mate, all
also have learned a thing or two from your podcast, and so has Gab. And one of your big things is always getting intel on guests before they come in. And we searched far and wide. Yeah. But mate, the only thing that comes back is you doing naked handstands.
How
in
does
the
this
Carlton
keep coming up?
rooms.
I don't know how this keep coming.
And like I don't
Where
want
did
to be
that come from?
stepping.
By the way, is that like?
No, we can't reveal.
We're not dropping it.
Was it actually a person, or did you hear it on something?
No, it's a person. But that's why like I'm not going to get you to explain the story
God.
because it's been done that many times.
I just
We
don't know
can't
how
get
this-
any more intel on you other than naked handstand. So I'm not asking
That sort
you
of
to.
explains itself, really, doesn't it?
Mate, what is going on
Yeah.
at Carlton?
No, it probably explains why they've been so bad for so long. But they're a good club. I love Carlton, but yeah, it's probably probably explains why my career probably didn't take off the way
Not
it
at
should
all.
have. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're not going to get you to explain it, but essentially the intel is that Dill would do a naked handstand in the change rooms.
That's not true.
At Carlton.
No,
but it's been done, it's been overdone. So
Yeah.
we're not going to ask you to do it here. Maybe
thank you.
after when the cameras are off.
Lucky
That'd be
it's a
good.
podcast.
Yeah, very lucky. Anyway, that's all I got.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's it, mate.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What's plans for next? What's next for you guys? What do you want to do?
Launch the podcast.
People always ask like, "What's your 5-year plan, mate?" I don't know.
No, it's not even just like
Yeah.
what's your 3-month plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose definitely launch this podcast. Like we are going to set up our garage soon. It's going to be full podcast, a little bit like this, maybe not as nice, but we really kind of want to lock in there and try and kind of solidify our spot in the podcasting world. Obviously not stepping on your feet.
No, always.
But yeah, what about?
I think, well, we're kind of like the podcast is kind of our long form media that we give people, and we have like workout programs and other fitness content and things like that. But we got some big plans for the podcast this year. And I think that garage one converting, because at the moment it's a very homely kind of backdrop. We got our kitchen there. Sometimes there's
Yeah, it's
washing
awesome.
hanging up. It's just a bit,
It's a bit much.
not as nice as the kind of light up Dylan Friends sign there. We might get one of those for 9 to 5 fitness.
You guys will be taking over soon, but yeah, just know that like, love what you guys are doing. It's incredible, and yeah, in all seriousness, like seeing you guys do it, like it motivates me to keep going as well, and know that there's young people, snapping at the heels. I've got to keep working. So yeah, really, really appreciate coming on. Love to stay connected and be a part of the journey.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
Thanks so much, mate. Cheers.